Here we are again.
Hi, everybody. Exciting to talk about another episode of House of the Dragon.
That's right.
Yeah.
And anytime you see that there's a wedding involved, I get really nervous because Game of Thrones has pretty much ruined weddings for me.
Well, as soon as I saw, okay, there's about 20 minutes left in the show, and we're having this big festivity, it's not going to, there's something that's going to happen. It's just not going to be sweet, and everybody goes home happy.
And you knew the minute Damon walked in, it was like, all right, it was that sort of like, oh, who the fuck invited this guy? And then you're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So it's David. It's not going to be good. It's not. But he kind of calmly went up, and I love how they didn't really have a chair for him. I'm sure you can sit at the end. So funny.
So before we delve deep into it, let's just quickly comment and let you know about our Cinemondo membership. Join our channel. All kinds of fun things. You can join for $2.99 a month or $4.99 a month. For $2.99 you get those top 4 things. For $4.99 you get those 4 plus the 5th one. We also have a wonderful Slack channel that we talk about all kinds of things. It can be any show that we're talking about, or even shows that we're not talking about that you want us to talk about. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's fun.
So it's fun. You can be part of the group. It's just started, so we're getting there. But it's a small group. You don't have to worry about being lost in the crowd. It's like now it's small and intimate, and you get to talk to all the people who've been on the show. Lara and Natalie and me and Elizabeth and Mark and even Kirk.
Exactly. So it's fun, so please consider checking it out and consider becoming a member. So let's talk about episode 5, We Light the Way.
We Light the Way. So directed by the same director who did the Let's Go to Burning Man episode.
Claire Kilner, and she's a female director, and this one is, again, this is not about battles and big sort of thing. This is more intimate stuff about relationships between the families and what is going on. And what is going on is, obviously, the king is getting sicker and sicker.
His arm looked bad. I guess it's kind of leprosy or something, I think.
So that's what I'm guessing. Something that they can't cure. So they're trying to put...
How is he still alive? He looks worse and worse. Every time jump, I'm like, he's going to be dead, but he never is.
Well, it's the leeches are saving his life, but I don't know.
Are they? I don't know. That one guy seemed like he had a way to do it. The older guy's like, no, I'm not doing your newfangled medical stuff.
Right. He said he'd drink. So anyway.
Oh, God. But the interesting thing, they started it with someone we hadn't seen before. This beautiful, what we've always been wanting, this outdoor, epic, mountainous area with like this beautiful woman on a horse, and she's riding across the field, and you're just like, oh, it's so beautiful and exhilarating. And she comes in this canyon, you're like, oh no, here's a canyon, where we go? And then she stops and she's looking at something, and you realize it's Damon.
It's a hooded figure.
And you go, oh, what's this? And then you realize this is the wife he's been dissing for the entire season, and we've always said how hideous she is, and he can't stand her, and she's so gross, and she's this beautiful woman.
Woman who's riding this horse, and she's obviously very strong, and
she's got leather on, she's a hunter, she's like badass, cool, and she's not afraid of him. She's like, what are you doing here?
She's very, very independent and very strong, and she's a strong personality. Sadly, that doesn't end well for her.
That was I wasn't quite sure what happened there. I watched the scene. I know he walked up, but I couldn't quite figure, why did the horse tip over? It was very strange.
I thought he sort of had this look like he was almost like...
He was up to something, but...
Yeah, but it was almost like he was controlling the horse. She fell off. The horse fell on her, and of course, basically broke every bone in her body.
That is such an awkward plan. It was awkward. It was awkwardly shot. I like the scene. I like what it was saying, and it's in the book, but they just talk about it. They don't actually show it. So we actually get to actually see this, but I still thought it was very awkwardly done, and I wasn't clear on what happened. It almost looked like an accident. It clearly isn't, but it sort of looked like it was, and so it was actually kind of confusing to me.
But it's a weird plan for Damon. Is if I'm going to kill my wife, and that's my plan to do that. I mean, that is, to make it look like an accident. It's a small plan, but it doesn't necessarily always going to work. Like, will she fall out? Will the horse fall on her necessarily every single time?
Well, So, and then he starts walking away like, oops, and she's paralyzed, like you said. But he does walk. He walks over and kind of stands on her arm for some reason. I don't know if it was just a test to make sure she was paralyzed. I wasn't sure what that was about. And then it was a weird scene. And then he walks away, and she's all like, like, fuck you, basically.
And you really don't know if I didn't think she was dead. I thought, okay, maybe she's
She
paralyzed, or maybe
wasn't
she
dead. She was
right,
paralyzed.
right. No, but it was just like then later we find out that she did die.
Well,
By
we know she died 'cause he walked over and bashed her head in with the rock.
oh, that's right. That's right.
Come on,
Yeah.
Mark. Keep
Yeah.
up, man.
Sorry.
Remember
Sorry.
the big
Sorry.
scene where he walks over and
Yeah.
bashes her head in?
Oh, yeah. That was
So
gross.
that
Yeah.
was interesting too, because she also on her way down, she kind of threw out the fact that oh, he hasn't consummated their marriage. So that's
Right.
another clue that Damon's got some troubles. He can't quite
Yes.
finish the job. And we've seen
Can't,
this
yeah.
like 3 times now. Every
Yes.
time he's with the woman in a scene,
Yeah.
he can't
Right.
finish.
Right.
So you got to kind of wonder, like, is he ever going to be able to consummate anything? And
Right.
that's sort of been his problem all along. It's
I
not,
think
he
that's the
probably won't be able to make an
anger.
error happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
all of that.
All right, so we open with this great scene. It ends very badly, as it always
Right.
does with Damon in the room,
Right.
even if he's outside.
Yeah. So then we have King Viserys and his crew going to Lord Corlys's beautiful castle, and
He
and
was
it's
not
kind of
having a good trip.
he's not having a good trip. He was, it was on. There's, he's
That's how I would be on a ship. It would be
Oh my
good.
God, me too. I
Not going to
exactly.
happen.
Yeah.
And then he's in the carriage. And he's like, oh, God. And I'm like, why is he putting himself through this? He should have just summoned the guy. But I guess it was some kind of,
Well, it was
optics.
weird. Yeah, because he walks in, and then the Lord doesn't even is not even there to greet him, which is a slight.
So surprise! I'm here. What do you?
Yeah.
The king is here.
Right. And so they go in, and it's all about the marriage of Daenerys to his son, the prince.
In a way, it's like him making good, because then again, we see his daughter, and she's grown and she's gorgeous and amazing, and you're like, well, see, you could have had that, but she was only 12 when he met her, so it's a little awkward.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so now he's making it good, because now he's joining these houses finally, sort of like rectifying his mistake, which he's still trying to be the good king. He's still trying to be a good guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is ultimately going to be his undoing, because he just.
He's
keeping peace, but people are getting restless, and they're feeling like he can't do the job, I think.
And they're also sort of the den of vipers around him,
so many.
They just smell it, they smell the kill coming. So, so that's kind of an uncomfortable thing. And then, of course, as we move forward, we realize that Corlys's son is not interested in Daenerys.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And everybody kind of knows, like the parents are like, it'll be okay, right? I mean, it'll be fine, because he's clearly gay.
He's clearly gay, right?
And he has a boyfriend, and they show that. So here's Rhaenyra, who has a boyfriend. He has a boyfriend. So it's really kind of the perfect arrangement.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And she kind of posits that to him. Like they walk on the beach, and she's like, okay, I get that, I like roast duck, you like roast goose. It was kind of like the great thing in Schitt's Creek where he talked about the red wine and the white wine. But I like that they kind of made it clear without actually saying it. I thought that was really cute.
It was.
Call back to Schitt's Creek. But and then so then she's like all excited, like this is gonna be great. I get to be queen. Our houses are joined. We don't have to do anything except maybe once in a while try and figure out how to get me pregnant. That's the only thing. And so she's so excited, and she rushes back to tell Kristen Cole, and he's like not thrilled. He had this big fantasy of like, we could run off, we can be in the village and eat oranges, and it'll be great.
Oranges and cinnamon.
And it sounded to me like that does sound really nice.
Well, it does. I mean, if the shackles are gone, but she realizes after her father said, no, this is your responsibility, this is your duty. And
it's kind of getting through to her.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of shit that comes with it, but there's a lot of incredible stuff that comes with it too. So are you really going to let go of that and just run off with this guy with this pie in the sky concept? And he was really beyond stunned. And
he was like, "What? You're saying no to this great plan?"
Yeah, right.
And I have to say, part of the problem was, I think, because he threw out this idea to her when he just had on his casual clothes, which he did not look as good. So I was like, if you'd been in your hot night outfit and come to her and said, let us run off to the village, she'd be like, yes. But he came in with like this kind of linen shirt and these baggy pants. I'm like, I'm not running off anywhere with you right now.
Right. And it almost sort of like, I realize you're standing versus my standing. It's sort of like there was
made it really clear.
Bigger class difference. And there's not a chance in hell I'm going to go with you, but we can continue having fun, having this affair. Let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, so he's unhappy about that. He's crushed. So then let's see. Do we go to the wedding yet? I'm trying to think. Okay. So
then we have the queen.
Right. The queen.
The queen has these, this conversation with Kristen about, what happened, and also with the queen. So, I mean, with the princess. So she kind of knows what's going on here, but
she realizes we have the character who's like the creepy, like kind of like in the shadows, the guy who's kind of gimpy, and he's all like hanging out, and he's in the garden. He goes, "Hey, I heard
Yeah.
some rumors," like
Right.
being just an
Yeah.
asshole, right?
And he's the
He's like
son of the new,
the new hand.
the new hand for, that replaced
So,
Otto. Yeah.
but he's clearly just kind of like a hive little birds kind of guy, right? So
Smarmy. Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I heard the princess had a cocktail.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had a little potion brought to her, and thank goodness or whatever." And the queen's like, "Wait, what?" Like realizing like, "Oh shit, she's pregnant."
Right.
And she
Right.
did have sex with Damon. Like she
Right.
lied to me. Like she was
Yeah.
convinced and like, "Oh my God,
Right.
what?" So she's
Yeah.
furious. So
Yeah.
she goes back to the castle, calls in, of course, her knight that has been nearby, going, "What do you know about it?"
Yeah.
And he thinks she's talking about him.
Right. Right.
He goes, "It was me. I did it. I couldn't help it." And she's like, "Wait." Her look was so good. She's like, "Hold on, that's
Yeah.
not what I meant." "Wait, what?"
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
then she realizes like, oh my God, she didn't actually sleep with Damon, but she's still being a terrible princess.
Right.
But
Right.
to us,
And
she's being a perfectly human being because
exactly, because
she's
she's not doesn't want to go with her cousin. She wants to go with her this handsome guy.
well, she was gonna go with her cousin. He didn't
Yeah.
finish the job.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
now, she had to go to the cute knight nearby. So I thought that was cute. And he was like, "You can kill me. Please don't torture me.
Right.
Just kill me." Like he was
Right.
willing to just fall on the sword because he
Right.
realized, I mean, literally fall on a sword because he
Right.
realized like, oh my God, I broke every vow, every oath, everything that made me what I am is gone.
Right.
And
Right.
so sure enough, he goes into the garden, right? Is that the end? No,
No,
not
no.
yet.
That
Okay.
no, that
So yes.
so there's but the queen, like, you think the queen is gonna do something, but she really doesn't. She sort of just kinda lets him go.
She's like, interesting
Yeah.
information.
Right, right, and at that point, it's when there's the big wedding,
Yes.
so it's all the houses, everybody's coming in. It's a
7 days, the festivities, you're like,
Yes.
"This is not gonna happen, no way. Nothing you have planned has ever worked out. Your hunt didn't
Right,
work out,
right,
the funeral didn't work, and nothing worked."
right. So everybody shows up, and the king is there, and he's being received by all the people, and they're all making their comments about
Yeah.
this marriage and all this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And so the festivities kind of start, and there's dancing and revelry and
Mhm.
fun, typical stuff. But then as
Yeah.
you're watching it, going, as Kathy mentioned earlier,
Mm.
something's going to happen here. And of course,
There's a bunch of people together, a bunch of different houses, a lot of people angling for prominence and trying to
right,
get, their house recognized or possibly, what's gonna happen. I mean, just pure political bullshit.
right,
And so the interesting thing was they had this big feast. Everybody's up at the table, the groom, the bride, the father of the bride, no Damon yet, no queen yet. Queen's late. Queen's late. That
yeah, the
seemed
queen's like,
really, really undignified and kind of on purpose.
on
So,
purpose. Yes,
but she
Eh,
makes this grand entrance. All of a
yes, and
sudden, everybody turns, and there she is in her green dress.
wearing green. Yeah,
Green
so
dress.
she's making a comment.
And then
Well,
because a lot of us don't know what that means, like these people in the audience go, "She's wearing a green dress. You know what that means?" And they have to explain it to us.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I'm like, what's the green dress? What's that about?
The
But
shade matters.
there's also
So
an interesting
it
moment.
actually is a loyalty to a certain house, and that's
Right,
sort of what
right,
so for her, she was kind of in a way laying down a gauntlet at this wedding and letting
yeah,
everybody know in a big public way with everyone there,
right.
like, this is who I'm backing,
This
just so
is
you
who I'm
know.
backing. Exactly, yeah. There's also an interesting moment where the father of Damon's wife kind of comes up and
Oh yeah,
confronts Damon when Damon finally walks in and sits down at the head table at the very end,
yeah,
and basically kind of accusing him, but not really accusing him. But then Damon sort of kind of says, "Well, I'll be paying a visit. We'll talk later." Something like that.
yeah.
He's like, okay, that's not going to end well for this guy. For
I know.
sure.
Anytime Damon's like got something going on, you're like, this is
Yeah.
this is gonna be really out of control.
So
There's
that's the
a
first
huge
sense.
X factor.
It's the first sense where okay, there's something. That's the first sense of something is going to turn here. You don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen, but I
No.
was thinking, okay, maybe Damon will do something, or maybe not. So there's a big dance, and there's everybody's dancing, and everybody's
Everybody dance.
right. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, from the king's viewpoint, there's a kind of a ruckus going down at the end. Oh, sorry, there is that conversation between
No, no, yeah. The groom's boyfriend who just cannot stand it that
right.
no one knows. So he goes over to the knight and he's telling them all about like,
Talking
hey,
about, hey,
he's my
listen,
boyfriend.
we're
Just so
kind
you
of
know.
we're in the same situation
Yeah,
here,
see, we're both
and
the outsiders. We're
yeah,
here on
let's
the
just
side pieces.
yeah, let's sort of like just keep this going. Like we have this relationship, and we both have the same wants here. So
Yeah,
just sort of letting him know that's what happened.
yeah.
So later on during the dance, there's this ruckus at the kind of far end of the room, and like, what's going on here? Like obviously there's some kind of fight or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see, Kristen just beating the hell.
I thought there was like a bear in the room. Like there was this like this roaring, and then you're, what's happening? And you couldn't really tell.
Right.
And it was just pure rage.
Rage.
And he was just killing this
beating
boyfriend.
up the prince's boyfriend, and it was just pummeling. And then at the end, you see his face, and it's just completely bashed in, and just
it was just flat. It was gross.
Yeah, it was awful.
Typical Westeros.
yeah, just way over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sort of escapes, and then you see him a little later, ready to stab himself to death.
Oh, he's got to set the scene, man. You got to be like, goes into the garden next to that great white tree with the red leaves that we've seen is iconic, and he's laying down a sword, and he gets his dagger, and he's opening up his shirt, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be this beautiful suicide. Also, it's like, but wait. And there's the queen, and he's like looking up at her, and she's like, I got plans.
Yeah.
Then he's interested. And so now we have a guy who sacrificed everything for a woman that didn't want it. All she wanted was, the physical, and he wanted a lot more than that. And then now he's, feeling like he's got no loyalties. No one's loyal to him. He's not loyal to them. So he's open to this, this intrigue by the queen of like, let's try some stuff. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it ends. So I thought it was a very much a companion piece to the previous episode. It was sort of like it was directed by the same person. So it felt like, almost like one piece together. We're not getting involved with all the other kind of stuff. It's really about the relationships. And what is Daenerys' future, and, how's that going to play out? But I feel the king, he also collapses at the end. And
they have that great scene. Like also the rats licking up the blood on the floor, which you're just like everything about that, like the rats in the room, the blood on the floor, the iconography was great in this. Like the way they set up scenes, and the way they were bringing in all these visual clues and hints on what was going to happen, and especially if you watch Game of Thrones, like all these little like tiny little things mean so much. It's like, this is not good. So they have a real quick shotgun wedding, boom, married. They are right there on the bloody dance floor.
Right. Yeah. They just do it at the very end.
It's like, this isn't going to be 7 days anymore, people. Sorry, party's over. Let's get married. Bye.
Right.
That's all it was.
Yeah. So it's just like every episode sort of like takes it up a notch as far as the relationships. It'll be interesting to see who, sides with what the queen has up her sleeve, and, how long does the king survive? I really thought this is the last episode for him. I really felt he's
I know. I thought that was it, but then fast forward, they show a preview and he's still around. But we also were making a huge time jump in the next one, so the actors are going to change.
So
we're no longer going to see the young girls. We're seeing the 2 new actors who are going to play them as adults. So that's like a 10-year jump or something.
Right. I mean, it's halfway through this year. I believe it's 10 episodes. So we're exactly halfway through. So it makes sense to jump 10 years.
And again, killing it in the ratings. So there's definitely going to be season 2. They didn't plan for one because I think they thought, Game of Thrones has so little faith anymore. And, we'll make this series and it'll just kind of go away. But it didn't. And the people seem to really, I think part of it's the production value and people loving it and really making it happen and really bringing it, and not just sort of a throwaway. They seem like they're really intently trying to make a good show.
It would have tanked if it was bad, but it's good. So people came back and say, we can forgive you for the last season of Game of Thrones, and we miss this. And if it's good, we'll be back. So I'm surprised too that I thought it was going to be kind of like, just a little whatever one season. Nobody's going to really get into it.
It's might bring you into Game of Thrones now. You're going to be done with this. You're like, hey, I'm going to watch more Game of Thrones now.
I think this is the perfect, just watch this because I'm really enjoying it, and then I'll just fold right into that show. So
exactly.
So
easy.
It's great and fun to talk about it, and we'll be back to talk about the time jump next time.
We'll try and be a little faster next time.
I know. What these turned into kind of podcast, but there's a lot to talk about. You can't do it.
No, I don't mean length. I mean timing.
Oh, gotcha.
Timing. It's almost time for the next episode, and we're just.
That's true. That's true.
We'll be faster next time, but it was a busy week. So
yeah.
See you guys next time.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.